I think the players have to take some responsibility as well. I know David Moyes will obviously take a lot of the blame as a manager, but I think they can actually play better as individuals. Obviously, confidence is low at the minute. I would like to see them probably go for it a little bit more in games. I'd like to see someone like Ben Rama play maybe from the start. He's a little bit different to what they have. Obviously, they've got Jarrod Bowen relying on quite a lot to do something, which the other midfielders probably can't do. So I think it's a mix of that. I think confidence is obviously when you're down the bottom and you're not winning games. You're looking at the next one thinking, where's the next win coming from? But sort of wouldn't panic. I know they're looking at the table thinking they're in a difficult position, but they have got a manager who's got a lot of experience, knows how to get teams going. So I would be patient with him, because like I said, I think he's the right man. Who do you get to replace him to go in there and do the job that they want him to do at this stage of the season?
I think this is a big thing that Stu makes, trying to replace somebody. It's an easy throwaway line, replace the manager, but I think Leeds and Southampton have proved that it's not easy to go out there and pick a manager off the shelf that you think's going to improve on the last one that's come through the door.
Yep. Have West Ham got a big summer coming up? Because the rumours won't stop, and they've been there for a couple of seasons about Declan Rice. And wherever they are at the moment, they're 18th, and there might be teams around them that you could argue that would have more chance of going down, because when you look at West Ham's team and who they've got, and the fact that David Moyes is the manager still counts for a lot, doesn't it?
Yep.
So I feel like they'll get themselves out of that. I don't think they'll go down, but it's football, anything can happen. The Premier League's been wild this year as well. But they're going to have a big summer to try and keep hold of Declan Rice. Would you let him go?
Yeah, I think it's time for him to probably go to the next step to test himself. Obviously, I think he's mentioned it with his England ambitions. You're looking at Jude Bellingham and people like that sort of in and around him for a starting place, and he's probably going to move in the summer to a big European club. Hopefully, I think Liverpool might be in the race for that. Hopefully, but it's still a big team. But I just think it's time for Declan to go that next step and test himself. And like you said, hopefully that money that they do generate, getting the sale of him would go back into the team, because they do need players. They have spent a lot of money, but they just haven't seemed to sort of settle and gel as a team. But in terms of the management, I'd still stick with David Moyes. I think he's a proven Premier League manager. Like I say, he takes the blame for it because he's the man at the front. But like I said, I think players have to do better for him as well.
They have spent a lot of money. You mentioned it there, 185 million spent this season, which is actually among the highest in Europe as well. Apparently, this is according to reports saying that only 4 clubs have spent more than West Ham in the last 4 seasons. What's gone wrong there? Is it recruitment? Is it trying to get the best out of them? What's happened?
I think this player's not gelling particularly well. Agard, who's probably, from the outside, people would say he's been the pick of the signings that have come through the door. I went out to France to watch him on the last day of the season last year and was impressed with him. And then he gets injured pre-season up at Rangers and he's out for 12 weeks. That's a real blow. Sort of Shamaka's been sort of in and out a little bit. Paguetta's come in and adjusting to life in England. It's been a little bit disappointing with maybe 1 or 2 that have come through the door, not hit the ground running, and they've not had the luxury of a really strong rest of the team playing with real confidence. If these players would have come and joined the club maybe a year ago with maybe Thomas playing really well, Vladimir playing really well, Mick playing well and Jarrod playing really well, they would have gelled a little bit easier than it is now. It's a firefight every week at the moment with pressure on the team and no more so than next Saturday against Forest at home.
I want to read you a quote, actually. This is from Declan Rice. It was after the game yesterday, 2-0 loss to Spurs. He said, when you play with 5 at the back and the 3, like we set up with today, maybe our strikers felt a bit isolated. When we got the ball up to them, they didn't really have enough around them, not enough support. Is he being critical of David Moyes there? Is he just saying it how he sees it? What do you think?
Maybe a bit of both. Maybe of his teammates. I'm guessing that when they go on the training pitch, they're working on how to get bodies up to him to support McElhenney, the likes of Jarrod Bowen, who normally is very good at that. So I don't think he's starting to dig the manager. I think maybe as the whole as the team thinking maybe himself, not getting involved and getting closer to the goal. But they were quite deep. It's very difficult for Michael Antonio and obviously Jarrod, who were up there on their own. But then again, you look at Harry Kane and the way they played Tottenham. He seems to do that job very well. Obviously, he's got a lot of runners going in behind him. So the difference in that is he gets support quicker than the West Ham boys do, I think.
Those lack of goals, they spent 50 million on new strikers this season and they're still starting with Mikel Antonio. He's had no shots, no touches in the box and just 2 final third entries during his 72 minutes of action. You talk about goals being the things that are going to keep people up, Stu. Do you have a real concern for them at the moment?
Yeah, I certainly do, because I've got an affection for the football club, and the league position they're in. I know I speak with Dave on a regular basis, so I know he's really disappointed in the league position because he wants to deliver more for that football club, and I think he will do as well. They've got a European campaign that starts in a few weeks as well, so that will be interesting. I don't know how much that's taken out the team. Their European campaign's been very good this season, 6 out of 6 victories. But they're in a difficult moment. There is no doubt about that. And you said about Mick, Mikel Antonio, probably go back a year and a half. He had the form of his career. Yeah. I mean, I worked with Mick at Nottingham Forest. I signed him at Nottingham Forest, and I've worked with him at West Ham. And I think Dave's probably got the best year out of him that he's ever had for games and the amount of matches he's played, all of those type of things. But his form's dried up in front of goal a little bit.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Laura Woods, Monday to Wednesday mornings 6 till 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.